Hi, I decided to make this video because I feel that what's happening is that a misunderstanding of what Islam represents among the non-Arab community. So I am white of Dutch and English descent, and I am a Muslim. I have become a Muslim as soon as I read the Quran. I realized that that was the book that I wanted to study, and that Muslim means submitter to God, which is what I want to do with my life. I want to be a submitter. I want to help spread the message of love, unity, and truth. So this is my little way of trying to help others see the truth. You can take it for only my truth if you want, but I feel that I have read many books. I've been a seeker all my life of God. I've read lots of different religious texts, and I have even belonged to different religions. But the one that really called home to me was Islam. And what I would like to do is provide about 15 minutes each day. I will try to make a video of where I will read a couple of verses, and then I will show you the interpretation or a different perspective in the way that I have come to see and understand Islam. And maybe that can help others who are, Muslims who are non-Arab or who are interested in learning about Islam. So I would like to begin showing you what Quran I'm using. This is the Quran. It was actually free when I went into the Quran organization, the Clear Signs Foundation. And it is a really wonderful translation. It read very poetically. It brought tears to my eyes on the weekend that I read it. I actually read the whole Quran in one whole weekend. I was feeling sick and I just decided to pick it up and read it because I read the other religious textbooks. So, I would like to start out with first the Prophet Muhammad's last sermon. The following is an English translation of a last sermon which Muhammad, peace be upon him, the last and final prophet of the Messenger of God, delivered at Mount Arafat on his last pilgrimage to Mecca, which is now Saudi Arabia, a few months before he passed away. This famous sermon laid down the foundations of human rights, dignity, and freedom. Sermon was delivered around 632 A.D. All praise is for God, the Lord of the universe. We seek His help and we seek His forgiveness for all our sins, and we submit our regret and repentance before Him. We seek His protection from the malice of our hearts and from all evils that we have committed. Those who are guided by God to the right path, none can lead them astray. And those who are denied guidance by God, no one can guide them to the path of truth. O people, listen to me. I do not think that after this year you and I shall ever meet in this place. Therefore listen to what I was saying to you very carefully, and take these words to those who could not be present here today. Remember, there is none worthy of being worshipped except God. He is one. He has no partner. All sovereignty belongs to Him. All praise is due unto Him. He is the giver of life and death, and has power over all things. O people, just as you regard this month, this day, and this city as sacred, so regard the life and property of every Muslim as a sacred trust. Return the goods entrusted to you to their rightful owners. Treat others justly so that no one would be unjust to you. Remember that you will indeed meet your Lord, and that He will indeed question you about your deeds. God has forbidden you to take interest, or usury. Therefore all interest obligations shall henceforth be waived. Your capital, however, is yours to keep. You will never inflict nor suffer inequity. It has been ordained by God that all usury is forbidden. To start with, I will give up the usury that is done to my relations, and all interest by debaters to Abbas, my uncle's son of Abba al-Muttalib, is given up. See, I'm non-Arab. Compensation for bloodshed committed during the pre-Islamic days of ignorance is cancelled. On my part, I give up my claim for compensation for the life of Rabia bin Harith. O people, beware of Satan, the evil one. For the safety of a religion, he has lost all hope, and he will ever be able to lead you astray in big things. So beware of following him in small things. O men, the unbelievers indulge in tampering with the calendar in order to make permissible that which God forbade, and to prohibit which God has made permissible. With God the months we are 12 in number. 4 of them are holy. 3 of these are successive, and 1 occurs singly between the months of the Islamic lunar calendar. O people, it is true that you have certain rights over your women, but they also have rights over you. Remember that you have taken them as your wives only under God's trust and with His permission. If they abide by your rights, then to them belongs the right to be fed and clothed in kindness. Treat your women well and be kind to them, for they are your partners and committed helpers. It is your right, and they do not make friends with anyone of whom you do not approve, as well as never be unchaste. O people, listen to me in earnest and worship God. Perform your 5 daily prayers, fast during the month of Ramadan, and give your financial obligation on your wealth. Perform hajjat if you can afford to. All mankind is from Adam and Eve. An Arab has no superiority over a non-Arab, and a non-Arab has no superiority over an Arab. Also, a white has no superiority over a black, and a black has no superiority over a white, except by piety and good action. Learn that every Muslim is a brother to every other Muslim, and that the Muslims constitute one brotherhood. Nothing shall be legitimate to a Muslim, which belongs to a fellow Muslim unless it was given freely and willingly. Do not, therefore, do injustice to yourselves. Remember one day when you will appear before God, and you will answer for your deeds. So beware, do not stray from the path of righteousness after I am gone. O people, no prophet or messenger will come after me, and no new faith will be born. Reason well, therefore, O people, and understand the words which I convey to you. I am leaving you with the book of God, the Quran, and my Sunnah. If you follow them, you will never go astray. All those who listen to me pass on my words to others, and those to others again. And may the last ones understand my words better than those who listen to me directly. Be my witness, O God, that I have conveyed your message to your people. The following verse was revealed at the end of the sermon. This day have I perfected your religion for you, completed my favor upon you, and have chosen Islam as your religion. That is in Quran Surah 5:3. And whenever you have a capital I and you have a capital M for my, that is taken regard that God is actually talking to mankind through the messenger Muhammad. Muhammad is not at all the starter of Islam. In fact, he is solely just the medium that Archangel Gabriel was telling what God wanted for mankind. So, let's begin. And like I said, I'm going to stop and I'm going to show you my interpretations of it and how it can convey to the events of today. I feel that it was time that maybe I made a video of my thoughts, because I realized that there's a lot of misunderstanding of what Islam represents. There is also a very strong hatred for the idea that it calls upon Christians and Jews, which you will realize as I read this and I interpret it, why it is so important to understand that it is not, I repeat, not all Christians and Jews. In fact, Christians and Jews are the Muslims' brothers and sisters. That is very true. But it is a small faction that decided to take it upon themselves to create their own religion. And it was a way of interpreting God's will and God's words that really actually hurt others, because it is exclusive. So it says that all other religious paths are false, and that the only people that will go to heaven are Jews and Christians. And that is where the lies actually are unveiled, is in the Quran. So you can start to put 2 and 2 together and realize that Islam is being targeted for a lot of misunderstanding. And it is a very long book. I'm going to say, I am an avid reader, so I was able to read this in a weekend, but I'm a very fast reader. For some, it might take a little longer. For some, hey, maybe you'll finish quicker than me. but it does take time to read, and you can't take it out of context. You can't go on the internet and look up one verse and then see, oh, well, they're saying kill the disbelievers. You have to read it from start to finish. Otherwise, you will never understand the full picture. So I would like to begin. This is the first prayer that it opens up with. And let me just remind you that Allah actually means the God, one. Allah is Arabic for one God, so it is a way to not mistake many different gods, because Allah is basically singular and it cannot be plural at all. So let me begin. Oh, and let me just say something here. I don't normally wear a scarf because it is not a rule or a law in the Quran, but through a lot of studies and through my boyfriend actually telling me something very interesting is that hair is actually found to be psychologically very attractive to men. And that is why when women are in mosques or they're out in public, they choose to cover their hair and as well as cover their bosom so that they don't kind of tempt men into thinking maybe impure thoughts while they're supposed to be thinking about God and being more righteous in their beliefs. So I'm choosing to wear this so that you don't focus on, really kind of what I look like, and I guess trying out the idea that, it makes me maybe less about my looks and more about what the message I'm trying to say. So let me begin. So this is, as you can see, all right. This is actually something I say every night because it's just a really great way of kind of opening up the doorway to my connection with God. This is called the Surah 1. It's the Al-Fatah. So, in the name of Allah, the All-Merciful, the Ever-Merciful, praise be to Allah, the Lord of the worlds, the All-Merciful, the Ever-Merciful, the possessor of the Day of Judgment. You only we worship, and only your help we seek. Guide us to the straight path, the path of those on whom you have bestowed your mercy, not of those against whom you have sent your wrath, nor of those who have erred and become lost. Surah 2, second chapter. This is called Al-Baqarah. Now I'm going to try my best with Arabic words, but I am not a good pronouncer of them. But this is the second surah. It's about the cow. So I'm going to stop after a few verses and kind of tell you my interpretation, and I would love to hear your own thoughts, and you can comment down below. Maybe we can have an intelligent discussion about this. So it starts with the Alif Lam Mim. This is the book in its guidance, without doubt, for those who fear Allah, for those who believe in the unseen, who are steadfast in prayer, who spend out of what we have given them, and for those who believe in the revelation sent to you and sent before your time, and for those who are in their hearts have the assurance of the hereafter. They are on guidance from their Lord, and it is these who will prosper. As to those people who reject faith, it is the same to them whether you warn them or do not warn them. They will not believe. Allah has set a seal on their hearts and on their hearing, and on their eyes is a veil. Great is the penalty that they have to face. And of the people there are some who say, we believe in Allah and the last day, but they do not really believe. Surely they try to deceive Allah and those who believe, but they only deceive themselves, but do not realize. In their hearts is a disease, and Allah has increased their disease, and painful is the penalty that they will face, because they are false to themselves. When it is said to them, do not make mischief on the earth, they say, why, we only want to make peace. Surely they are the ones who make mischief, but they do not realize it. So this is a great opening to why the world is the way it is today, is that there are a select few that believe that they are always doing the right thing and that they are causing peace and reformation, but really what they're doing is they're dividing, separating, and they're actually opposing God. You can probably start to see it if you look in today's world's events, and if you start to actually put everything together, you start to realize that it truly is a select few, and it is not the majority that are being evil here on earth. It's it has to do with material wealth and power and the influence that these people are in, the position of power and influence. Power does corrupt, money does corrupt, and so if you look at the way the world is and the wealth distribution of the world, you will see that this is very true. And the Quran is basically the third book to come down by God and to say, look, this situation with the Egyptian pharaohs and the slaves, this is still going on, and my people have not been freed. So this is a way to chastise those in power at the time who manipulated others. So that's how I perceive this and how I interpret this. The idea that those who reject faith, and it's the same, they will not believe, it means that once you make that choice that you do not believe in God, you do not believe in the unseen, you do not believe in the hereafter, you do not believe in hell, you do not believe in any of that, you have already kind of made a choice, and you have already kind of put a wall up so that no new information can actually get through to you, and you really can't learn much. So that's what I definitely see in this interpretation, is that God is always encouraging us to keep an open mind and to keep learning and to keep absorbing the world around us, and to not just shut off what we think is right because our egos say, oh, well, but I believe that this is right, because you have this wall up. That I think is something that God wants us to always fight against, is that perseverance to learn and to always open our horizons and to open up our mind and to grow. That is how you grow. You don't grow if you think that you already know it all and you don't need to learn anything. You simply just stay where you are. So I think that's key in evolution of the soul. Okay, I'm going to continue. Surely they are the ones who make mischief, but they do not realize it. When it is said to them, believe as the other men believe, they say, well, shall we believe as the fools have believed? On this contrary, they are the fools, but they do not know. So this is very telling about history when you think about it. They believe that basically the ones who believe in the Abraham God are the ones who are the fools, and that, excuse me, that they are the ones who are right and believing in their special deities and all their different nature gods and kind of their pagan ideologies. They believe that they are the ones that are the right ones, and that the Christians, the Jews, the Muslims, anybody else who believes in a one God that is God over everything are the fools to believe that. And so there's this whole idea of how it's just very it's a strange paradox, because these people believe that they are right over others, but God is saying, hey, you know what, you're actually the fools, believing that you know it all. When they meet those who believe, they say, oh, we believe, but when they are alone with their evil companions, they say, we are really with you, we were only mocking. Allah will throw back their mockery at them and give them rope in their trespasses, so they will wander like blind ones back and forth. These are they who have exchanged guidance for error, but their trade is profitless, and they have lost true direction. Their similitude is that of a man who started a fire. When it shed light all around him, Allah took away their light and left them in total darkness so they could not see. They are deaf, dumb, and blind, so they will not return. Or is that of a stormy rain cloud from the sky. In it are zones of darkness and thunder and lightning. They press their fingers in their ears to keep out the stunning thunder, and while they are in terror of death, but Allah is all around those who reject faith. The lightning almost snatches away their sight every time the light helps them. They walk in there, and when the darkness covers them, they stand still. And if Allah willed, He would take away their hearing and their sight, because Allah has power over all things. O you people, worship and pray you to your guardian Lord, who had created you and those who came before you, that you might have the chance to learn righteousness, who has made the earth a place of rest for you and the sky your canopy, and sent down the rain from the sky, and brought forth from there fruits for your sustenance. Then do not set up rivals to Allah when you know the truth. And if you are in doubt about what we have revealed from time to time to our servant and to our messengers, then produce a surah, a chapter, like the one here, and call your witness besides Allah if you are truthful. So here, this is Archangel Gabriel actually saying to Muhammad that God says, if you think you know the answers to the universe and the way the world is, and you think that you have other deities or gods, before God, then you can call upon them, and we'll see, and that's basically kind of it's a way of calling their bluff, because they know that if they call out these deities that they have imagined or have been evoked to worship wrongfully, then they're not going to be answered, and that they're not going to really feel it align with their souls, because we're all from God. And just because somebody chooses arrogantly to go a different path because they want to start their own ideology and they don't want to follow what God has set before them, God knows what's in your heart, knows that intention to deviate. So, I'll continue. But if you cannot, and surely you cannot, then fear the fire whose fuel is men and stones, which is prepared for those who reject faith. Now, this is where a lot of disbelievers and people that maybe once were religious, they turned away from religion because there's all this talk about fire and stones and brimstones and, just punishment. And it's found in a lot of religions. In fact, it's found also in Hinduism. It's found in many different types of religions throughout history, that there is a place, there's some kind of dimension that if you make the wrong choices, if you become a bad person, you are going to go to this place and you're going to suffer. You're going to feel this terrible anguish and pain. My interpretation of that is that if you create your own demons in this world, if you leave this world with a bad conscience, say you're killing people, you're a serial killer, then you are going to have to face those choices later on. And because I believe that we all come from a good source, which is God, I feel that we will feel that pain and that anguish of making those wrong choices and being misled while we were alive. So my interpretation of that is fire doesn't necessarily mean the physical fire. It's more like maybe a spiritual feeling as anguish and just severe regret and pain and just forever torturous on your soul, because you are basically coming to terms with all the wrong that you have done, and that hurts. And so fire is maybe the closest thing to what it would possibly be expressed as on a human level. Okay, so I will continue. And give glad tidings to those who believe and who act fairly and justly, that their reward is gardens, beneath which rivers flow. Every time they are fed with fruits from there, they say, "This is what we were fed with before." For they are given similar things, and in there they have pure companions, and in there they live forever. I'm going to stop right there for today, but I just want people to realize that the heaven that the Quran is speaking of, it seems more closer to what Eden originally was. So there's an idea that I'm getting, kind of the way I interpret it, is that we are not necessarily trying to move up, we are trying to go back to where we originated from. So we did fall, we fell in consciousness, we decided to taste the physical pleasures of life, and we were tempted by Satan, whether it would be us in a metaphorical way, or it's our parents, where we first originated from, Adam and Eve. The idea that we are trying to get back to those gardens is actually very clear in the Quran, and the idea that they were given similar things, meaning that when you get to that afterlife, when you get to experience that beautiful garden, it says it's similar, and I think that means because it is basically where we first originated from, and so those fruits will be similar to us because we have already experienced that pureness and that bliss, and for some reason we have fallen, and we have we have now entered into a very material consciousness instead of a spiritual consciousness. And so I feel that, you know, God's purpose for us is for the journey to learn how to get back into that state of being that maybe we came from when we were in the Garden of Eden. So it's very interesting that the Quran's heaven talks about you know, rivers that flow. For me, it kind of symbolizes like maybe Rivendell from the Lord of the Rings movies. You can see just a beautiful landscape of rivers and gardens and earthly trappings, and that very much could be where we all originate from in a spiritual sense. But some of us may not find our way back home because of the constant human cycle that we get into, which is the drama and, you know, the suffering and the pain and killing each other and doing maybe bad things. And that's why I do believe in a religion that requires good deeds versus just faith, because I feel that you have to act out in the physical world with good deeds in order to actually evolve your soul to a point where you can experience those rewards of those good deeds later on. Because you can definitely pay lip service. You can say, oh, I believe in God, but then at the same time you can treat other people like crap. And, you know, we've seen it. We've seen it in the world, and I think that's why a lot of people are turning away from God and away from religion. So I'm going to finish right there. I finished off with Surah 2, and that is, we're going to go on to Surah 2-26 basically tomorrow. So thank you for joining in, and please leave a comment on the bottom if you feel that that's how you also interpreted the Quran in some of the ways that I explained. Then that would be great to know. It's really great to know that I can, you know, my thoughts also connect to others as believers. So salam, and take care, everybody. Bye-bye.